Hi, my name is Megan Hall. I am the founder of Avery's Angels Gastroschisis Foundation. We were founded in August 2009 in honor of mine and my partner Jared Rowan's son, Avery John Rowan. Avery was born at UNC Hospitals on April 14th, 2009. We found out about his diagnosis of gastroschisis when we were 12 weeks pregnant from a blood screening. When we got the results of the blood screening on December 2nd of 2008, we had to wait 36 hours before we were able to get in for a high-frequency ultrasound to get a better look at what Avery was confronting. On the screen, you could see Avery's intestines protruding through the abdominal wall. At that time, we were told by the technician and the doctor on consult that the defect affected 1 out of every 5,000 babies in 2008, and that it was a very easily to treat birth defect, and that we should only expect around 10 weeks in the NICU, and that he wouldn't have any long-term issues. We spent as much time as we could on the internet, looking up as much information as we could, asking doctors and, of course, the rounding staff what to expect. There wasn't a lot of information, and there wasn't a community accessible for parents that got a diagnosis of gastroschisis prior to Avery's Angels forming. There's just a lot of Wikipedia, quick snippets on random medical websites, and not a lot of what to expect once we got into the NICU, once Avery was born. A lot of what we learned was to come after Avery was born. Avery was born at 11:37 p.m. on April 14th, 2009, after the doctors had been reviewing scans starting from about 32 weeks of my pregnancy until 37 weeks, when they discovered that there was a blockage in the exposed bowel requiring that he needed to be born so that they could start operating and start treating the birth defect. We were terrified from the onstart of the diagnosis. After being reassured by doctors that there was an 80% chance of survival, we were much more calm. Jared and I are very positive, bouncy people, so we just expected the best for our son. Avery was born at 6 pounds, 7 ounces. For a gastroschisis baby, that is considered a large, well-formed, well-founded baby. He had a very strong heart. He had no other developmental issues. He went through his first initial surgery at 6 hours of age, and he did wonderfully. They were able to put all of his intestines back inside of his stomach. We spent a total of 107 days in a NICU environment, which is a very intense environment to be in, especially for first-time parents. It's an intense environment for any parent to be in. He had a total of 10 surgeries. 3 were planned. The other 7 occurred after his 3rd surgery, where they experienced a bunch of complications that were extremely unexpected, and they had to perform a number of bedside surgeries to try and correct problems. He was expected to do very, very well. He had an extremely rosy prognosis, but upon his 3rd surgery on July 14th of 2009, they incurred some unexpected complications and couldn't control some of the bleeding and some of the infections that came from some of the abdominal scarring. After about 2 weeks on life support, we found out that Avery was 100% brain dead, and we had to take him off life support. Avery spent every bit of the 105 days that he was alive being such a joy and such a positive piece of Jared and I's life, and it drew us so close together, and it made our family and our community so close, and I got to see such wonderful parts of humanity coming together, whether it was complete strangers that were helping us with gas money to get to the hospital, or it was our own family just opening up their arms and taking us in and being the support that we needed. Everything that Avery had been his entire life was so beautiful. that when we were incurring all of the grief and the sadness from losing him, I didn't ever want us to forget what Avery had been in our lives up until that point. I had to come up with some sort of way to make sure that Avery lived on in our lives in the positive and beautiful way that he had been as our son. I began blogging about my grief and the process of going through grief, and especially the process of going through a child loss, and how I was really motivated to make a change and provide a community for families that were confronting gastroschisis, something that we hadn't had upon our diagnosis. And Avery's Angels literally started from a blog in August of 2009, exploring what I was going through as a mother of loss. And it grew into a community with a mission to make sure that anyone that had ever experiencing this diagnosis had support, had answers, had a team of not only parents that had gone through similar circumstances, but access to medical practitioners, and were able to find answers to complications and answers to questions that they might not have. The mission of Avery's Angels is simple. We are in the business of hope. We're in the business of finding an answer to why this disease is caused. The cause of this disease is unknown. There are very many ideas, but there is no concrete research to prove that it's caused by any singular event. We are on the mission to make sure that our community is well supported and that this disease sees an end within our generation. Our hope is that we can be what Avery was to our family and our community, to the rest of the gastroschisis community. We hope that we can relive all the wonderful days of life that Avery provided for us through this foundation. So far, we are international across 4 countries. We are in the United States, we're in the United Kingdom, we're in Canada, and we're in Australia. We have supported well over 700, close to 1,000 families confronting this disease. We have a team of over 250 worldwide volunteers. At any point in the day, from 3 a.m., 1 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning, I can receive an email or a phone call from anyone in the world. My team is also on call 24 hours a day to make sure that anyone that's going through any stage of this, whether or not they're a 62-year-old survivor, which we do account on our team, to a baby that has just been diagnosed in Australia, China, or India, we are there to support and we're there to provide hope. Avery's Angels will always be in the business of providing hope, just like our son Avery did for our family. And that's it.